Hello, hello. This is Amy with Paid Search Magic, and what we're doing today is a bit of an ad hoc tutorial to look at the why behind the KPI for paid search using Data Studio. So really what we're trying to do here is to help to answer a question that a lot of times clients will have when they get a bit too myopic about KPIs. Like it's always really good when a client is looking at their KPI and they're prioritizing their KPI above other metrics that don't matter so much to the health and growth of the account. But I guess the flip side of that is that sometimes what will happen is that clients can focus not only exclusively on the KPI, but they're only satisfied if it's going up and to the right every single month. So if there's a month where you have to answer why it didn't beat the best month ever, then it's not quite so obvious on how to explain that or how to help them see a bigger picture. So we're going to look at some different metrics that we can use in Data Studio to help kind of build out that report. So a couple of caveats here. We are not focusing on how to make this a pretty client-facing report. We're just focusing on how to get the data from Data Studio that we would want to potentially show to clients. And then also, I'm hoping that what this does is as we go through the data that is available in Data Studio and the data that is not available in Google Data Studio, it'll help to kind of illuminate why some of these reports don't make sense as templates, because there's only so far we can go with a very templated approach, and beyond that there's a lot of deeper digging and frankly outside data that we would need to really tell a full story of what's happening in the account. So to get started, we've got an empty Data Studio canvas up here, and I've linked it, if I can just find my cursor. I have linked it to Google's sample ad account. So let me just grab a chart. I'll grab a chart so you can just know what I'm talking about here. Let's go ahead and build a scorecard. And you can see that the data is from sample Google ads. So that should be universally available. And we're just going to use this as an example of how we would think through with any client. So a couple of things we're going to do. We're going to assume we're presenting a report about last month's data, that we're doing last month's data as a deliverable, that this isn't like an ongoing dashboard. So we're going to actually choose the date range. So we're going to select custom and then change this to last month. Apply. And then comparison, we're going to compare this to month over month. So under this, we're going to go previous period and apply. So now we can see that clicks are down 51%. So we'll see what that tells us. We're going to assume that clicks is not the KPI, that what we're really looking for is revenue. Now we don't have a field for revenue with paid search with Google Ads, but we do have conversion value. So let's go ahead and look for all conversion value. You'll notice that there's no just conversion value, it's all conversion value. So we're going to select that for our metric and see that that's down 80% compared to the previous period. So a couple of things I'm going to do. Again, this is not on the principles of report layout, but I do want to make sure we've got a little title here. It says month over month performance. Just so we can make sure that when we're pulling these numbers, all of the numbers we pull are also looking month over month, so we don't get anything that's out of line there. Now I'm going to just style this slightly just because this is our primary KPI. We want it to be large. We wanted to draw attention to itself because this is what the client is looking at. So we're going to say, all conversion value is down 80% month over month. So if you were the client, you'd be asking why. We're going to assume the client is asking why. So let's start looking at what makes up conversion value. Conversion value is a product essentially of the conversions that took place and the revenue per conversion. So let's go ahead and add all conversions just to keep this the same. And then you know what? I'm going to not do it this way because it seems like a pain. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to switch out to all conversions. I'm going to switch my metric. And then I think I'm going to bring the style back down to a reasonable size of, 24. There we go. Okay, so hopefully that's big enough to see. So our all conversion value is down all conversions are down 55%. So we lost a lot of the revenue that came from it. We lost a lot of the quantity of conversions that happened. So let's also get what is essentially average order value, which is going to be the value divided by the cost, right? So all conversion value divided by cost. So excuse me, that's actually ROI. I'm telling you the wrong thing. So we want all conversion value divided by values divided by all conversions is going to get us. So we have 55% decrease in the average order value and a 55% decrease in the number of conversions that happen, which adds up to an 80% loss overall of revenue or conversion value. We're just going to assume that those are synonyms just because I don't know that they're not. So we're just going to make that assumption. So let's go ahead and add what we just had for ROAS, all conversion value. So we're looking at the value divided by cost is essentially the return on ad spend here. Okay, so that is also down. So my immediate question when I see that these metrics are down is cost down? Are we spending just as much as we were to get less value? Are we spending the same amount? So I'm going to select cost over here. Okay, so cost is down 50%. So that basically lines up with cost spend is down 50% and conversions are down 50%. That makes sense. But I don't know why the value per conversion is down. Like this is something that I'd want to look more deeply into. I also want to know, like, is it coming from a certain campaign or is it just universally the conversion value is down? Because there could be a lot of different drivers for that. It could be that a particular product is out of stock. It could be that increased competition one place is causing like if the offer just isn't as competitive as it was before. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a table here, and we'll start to see what we can see at a campaign level. Okay, it's automatically defaulting to campaigns, which is nice. And I cannot tell the difference between any of these campaigns. So note to self, if you want to see the difference between campaigns, don't give them all the exact same name because I don't know what any of this means. Okay, there we go. Okay, Google brand apparel. So we do have a little bit of information there. That takes a while to get to though, doesn't it? Okay, so we've got clicks already in here. What else do we want? We want conversion value, right? I'm going to see how that's doing. So we'll do all conversion value again. And then I want to see the conversion rate. And that's something I could see like at a global level too, just to kind of get a better sense. But already at this point, I'm just like, I want to see what's going on here. Okay, so I also want to see this compared to, I want to make sure I have the right date range. So I'm going to do custom for last month. Apply. Then I'm going to compare to the previous period. Okay, so let's see if I can do my fancy trick. I'm going to do resize columns, fit to data. Well, and then we lose our name of the campaign, but that took up a lot of space to get there in the first place, didn't it? Okay, so I'm trying to think. We could potentially go in here and use some heat maps if we wanted to get like a better visualization of what exactly was happening by comparison. And I think I'm going to add a total just to see how this aligns. Okay, where's my total? Oh, that might have been in data. Show summary row. There we go. Okay, so 1878, that does match up. But clicks are down 50%, conversion value is down 80%, and conversion rate is down 22% month over month. So at this point, I'm going to start looking in more deeply to what's happening with my campaigns. Like, why is the conversion value down so drastically in some of these cases? And what is going on with the conversion rate? Like, why are we seeing this down 93%? Like, I can already tell like this isn't a huge contributor, but there's something that's going on, and I'm not sure what happened within the account to cause this change. So that's somewhere that if you're putting together a report, these are some things you should know. So like let's add a couple more metrics, a couple more scorecards up here at the top, just because we can. And we're just going to get a better picture for what's happening. So the spend is down, clicks are down. Is the cost per click up significantly? CPC. Okay, that's up a little bit. That's not too bad. And then let's look at CTR, just see what else is going on. And do we have conversion rate up there? I don't think we do. All right, so the click-through rate is down 6%. I mean, this isn't a huge news as to why something, overall is down 80%. So then let's add conversion rate. Okay, yeah, so that matches with what we're seeing down here. I mean, it should. But what we can tell is that just based on our primary metric and then some of the follow-ups, we can see that we kind of have some explaining to do, right? If we are running this account, how come spend is half of what it was last month? Like if there's a reason for that, if they said to pull certain campaigns or if certain products weren't available, so we had to cut back on spend, like those are really important things to address, as well as what's happening at a campaign level if we're trying to help a client understand the difference in month-over-month performance. Now, we obviously also want to wean them off being hyper-focused on just month over month, because we're not always going to have, not every month is going to beat the previous month, but as long as we're trending up, that's really what we're concerned about. So let's go ahead and do another one of these with year over year. So we're just going to duplicate this page. That's not what I wanted to do. So I'm going to over here and go to duplicate. So now I've got a copy of page one. I'm not even going to worry that that's what it's called. And let's select all of our metrics. And we're going to change these, instead of being previous period, to previous year. Apply. I'm going to rename this so I don't forget what I'm looking at. Year over year performance. So year over year, our conversion value is down 60%, which is not great, right? All conversions are up 1,000%, and the value of all conversions is down 96%. So what this is telling me right away is that there's probably a change in what is counted as a conversion. Probably new conversion metrics were added, new conversion mechanisms were added, and that's not properly captured here. So we're going to run into kind of a dead end if we're comparing all conversions over this time frame, because something else happened. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the campaigns because this isn't helping me right now. See, this is real exploration here, because I don't know if I want to just like be adding and deleting charts like this all the time if I were creating a report. But this is, form follows function. We just want to see what we're dealing with. So it's getting our bar chart ready. So I want to keep almost none of what this is defaulting with. I want my dimension to be month, because I want to see like what happened, what was going on a year ago, and like what's changed over the last 12 or 13 months to kind of get us to where we are. Okay, so let's go ahead and change, because we're just looking at the last 28 days. We want to change that. So let's go ahead and change this to custom date range. And let's, I'm just going to use this little guy and go to January 1st. Let's just have this end January 31st, 2020. So we have like 13 months of data here, except that we don't. So right now this is being sorted by click. Let's go ahead and sort this by month. No, that didn't work. I don't know why that didn't work. But let's just grab the month. So it's sorting descending. We want ascending. Okay, and this almost gets us there, but this doesn't have enough bars. So let's jump over to style. And right now we have bars as 10, and we're going to need 13 to do 13 months. Okay, cool. All right, so we're almost there. But the one thing that this is not great for is we can see clicks are about the same, but we're not really interested in clicks. We want to know what happened to all conversions. So let's go ahead and let's just grab it. Why don't we? Well, actually, let's do this. All conversions in the metric, and I'm going to get rid of the clicks. And then the breakdown dimension I want is the segment name. So segment category, type name, that is what I want. We're going to break that down. Okay, so now I have a bunch of bars, and I'm just going to stack those. Okay, so we can see that there has been the addition of whatever this light blue cyanish color is. Is that the right word? This light bluish color and also this dark blue color were not here before. So we've got the introduction of a bunch of new conversions, and I don't even know what they are because there are so many conversions up here that everything's truncated. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a table, and we're just using this as a sandbox. We're not turning this into a client. Okay, so let's go ahead and change the dimension from campaign to let's learn a little bit more about the segment conversion. Where'd it go? Segment conversion type name. Okay. Now I have an error here, and the reason I have an error is because I have an incompatible metric, which is clicks. Clicks do not work with when we're trying to get a segment for conversions. They just are not going to work together. So we need to make sure we're looking at conversions. So I'll go ahead and switch this to all conversions again. And I'm going to change the sort because the sort being there is also going to throw it off. So this says all conversions now. Okay. Cool. So I have my all conversions, and let's go ahead and look at conversion value. Kind of everything is in my way. All right. So with all conversions and all conversion value, we can see that there have been a lot of conversions that have happened, and I don't even know what this date range is. Yeah, this is just the last 28 days. But there's been a lot of conversions that don't actually add any value. They're just things that are happening. Like looking at 5 pages does not result in a transaction. So, I'm going to go see how this works. I'm going to just go do that exact same thing where I just change the dates. This is not the most efficient way to get there, but I'm just doing it like that anyway. Okay, so there's 10 total conversions. Now it looks like Google Merchant, the first visit looks like it was assigned a conversion value of 1, which is good to know, but that is not revenue, right? That's just an assigned value. But it looks like transactions for the 360 demo, standard demo, and 01 master PT-NA, all of those have an actual conversion value that I'm going to assume is real transactions, real revenue. So with that assumption, what we want to do is we want to filter our conversions for this data. So let's go ahead and add a filter. Let's create a filter. And let's call it transactions. Include, we're going to do our segment conversion type. Is that name? Yep, there we go. Contains. Make sure that we're going to start this with capital T because it's capital T within the name of the segment. And for some reason, this is case sensitive. I don't know why. Or it was and it stopped being, but I never got the memo. So we need to just make sure that this contains transactions. So the table filter is now transactions, and now we're only seeing those segments that actually are contributing to revenue. So doing this is going to, right now we've got this really inflated view of what's happening with the conversions and the value they're bringing in. So let's go ahead and just select all these scorecards if it'll let us do that. No, it will not. It will not let us do that. So let's do them one at a time. So let's add a filter, transactions. All right, so when we're looking at only only the transactions that resulted in revenue, our transactions are actually up 22%. I don't know why this won't let me do it all at once. That'd be nice. But our value for all conversion is down 53%. Okay, so note to self, I didn't go through the rest of these. So if we were going to send that to the client, we would have a little more work to do. Let's go ahead and apply the filter to this guy, though, and see if that helps us learn anything. So we're going to pick transactions. Okay, so we have, you can see we have slightly more, and I'm just looking at this, just eyeballing it here. But you can see we have slightly more conversions. So let's just copy this so we can compare them. But what happens if instead of measuring all conversions, we're measuring conversion value? Conversion. Why can't I find it? All right, I'm going to change all conversion value. There we go. Okay, so there was quite a bit more revenue from January 2019 versus January 2020. And I don't know why that is. And we could start looking into, we can start digging into potentially keywords. We could start digging into campaigns, see what was running then, what's running now, and what the difference is. But at this point, this is where I really would want to start looking at the landing pages and the offers and seeing, like, was the same thing that's being offered then being offered now? Because we're only going to get so far when we're looking at those variables that that probably aren't the root cause of why someone bought or not. So considering the fact that the conversions are up and the value per conversion is significantly down and our revenue is down, that's unlikely to be a keyword problem. That's much more likely to be a function of what is available or what's being purchased on the page. Now, not always, not every time. We might be just getting a bunch of bad conversions now for some reason. We're going after way broader keywords, but people are still buying, but they're not spending as much money. See, it starts to get kind of weird when you have to try to explain those things. So it's better to actually look at what's happening in the account than to just look at the data and the outputs of what's most likely causing it. Like, we only can get so far. So, if I'm looking at year-over-year performance, I'm going to start wanting to do a much deeper dive into what changed. I'm not going to looking at 13 months worth of click-through rate by day or by week or weekday versus weekend isn't going to help me a whole lot. The big problems I need to understand is, why were people spending more money with us before than they are now? I need to understand the inventory and everything that's going along with that. Whereas if I'm just looking month over month, then we're dealing with, from what we saw, we're dealing with the same issue of the same sorts of conversions, but we're seeing a lot less spend. And I don't know why we're seeing less spend. And I don't understand what's happening to cause those changes. So these are things I'd really want to dig deeply into if I had access to the landing pages and I had access to actually what's going on in the account. So there's certainly more we could do here to figure out what search terms perform the best, and at a really high level, where the clicks are coming from, where the conversions are coming from, with geography and everything else. But the heart of it, what's causing it, the why behind the KPI is probably going to be in what's changed within the website and the user experience that's causing that to be different. Actually, let me go ahead and just change the cost real quick to, oh, that is previous year. Okay, cool. Is that right? Previous year is, I hope so. Okay. Did these all change and I just didn't catch that somehow? Oh yeah, because I changed all the previous year. I just wasn't able to get all the transactions. Okay. So yeah, so cost is only up 10%. So that seems pretty reasonable, but then why are we down 60%? That seems to be pretty much a function of the landing page, of the conversion experience that's happening there. So walking you through this, I hope it gives you a better picture of the things you can be looking for and the questions that are not easily answered by Data Studio alone, but you need to have a better knowledge of what's actually happening in your account so you can start to explain it and find ways to visualize that so your client understands it. This might be if you're putting together an actual report for them, you might want to bring in a screenshot of, this is what the user experience was then, or this is what it is now, or here's what our product line was then versus now, or the cost. We had some huge sale, so we got more conversions, but smaller revenue totals. We wanted to start explaining that and helping them understand it. The only way to help them understand it is if you understand it. And the answers are rarely found in just the charts and graphs and numbers alone. That just gives you a hint as to what to look deeper into, which again is kind of the flaw of templates, is that there can be really useful. Like we could get we could get all this data right away and not have to like pull and put each thing in here individually, because we could just know this is what we're looking for when we're looking at an e-commerce account. But the next step of it, the answering the why, we still need to be familiar enough with Data Studio to be able to grab those numbers and start to visualize them so we can make more sense of it. Okay, I hope that was helpful. If you have other questions or you have different things that you would have looked at, leave a comment and just let me know, because I'd love to hear how you're solving for these problems, and we can kind of figure it out together. All right, thanks so much. Bye.